MVP, MVP, MVP. The GOAT. Caitlin Clark wins MVP of FIBA. Has not been playing. Fresh off of injury, shows up and wins MVP. We gotta break this.
8 months off, coming back from injury, playing out of position in lineups that made absolutely no sense, getting benched for players who had no business starting ahead of her, and Caitlin Clark just walked into the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup qualifying tournament and won MVP. Not rookie of the tournament, not most improved, most valuable player of the entire competition in her senior national team debut. The haters said the bots inflated her college stats. They said she couldn't compete at the professional level. They said Aja Wilson was levels above her. They said Chelsea Gray deserved more recognition. And now Caitlin Clark has hardware that none of them can argue with. Official FIBA MVP, selected by tournament officials, not fan voting, based purely on performance.
It's official tissue, y'all. Y'all know what it is. It's official tissue. We don't gotta play games. We don't gotta speculate. Caitlin Clark is the MVP of the FIBA tournament in her debut on the senior national team. What we talking about? Y'all still trying to start Chelsea Gray? Y'all still trying to start Chelsea Gray? What we talking about? Caitlin Clark, the GOAT. You did your big one. They can't stop you. They can't stop you, mama.
Look at those numbers. First in points per game. First in assists, first in true shooting percentage, first in plus-minus, first in two-point field goal percentage. She led Team USA in nearly every major statistical category, while playing fewer minutes than several teammates. This wasn't a sympathy award or a popularity contest. This was earned through dominance. But here's what makes this even more significant. Carol Lawson, the head coach, tried everything to minimize Caitlin's impact. Started Chelsea Gray in every single game, despite Gray coming off injury and clearly not at full strength. Ran Caitlin at small forward, in rotations that made no tactical sense. Even started Angel Reese ahead of Paige Buchers in one game, which tells you exactly how much this coaching staff was willing to experiment with anyone except giving Caitlin the starting role she'd clearly earned.
Miss Caitlin Clark. It's undeniable the impact she's made on women's basketball, and here in Puerto Rico had quite the showing. Her debut with the senior team, the double-double with both points and assists.
Yeah.
And in her senior debut, she wins the TISO MVP at the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup qualifying tournament here in Puerto Rico.
Y'all tried to rig the votes. All the Paige Becker bots, all those bots, it didn't work. Caitlin Clark is the real MVP. And this wasn't based on fan voting, I don't think. This is the real deal. This is the real deal. Let's take a look at what she...
Scott Agnes broke the news, and credit where it's due, even though his relationship with Caitlin Clark last season was complicated at best. 11.6 points per game, 6.4 assists in just her first competitive game since the WNBA season ended 8 months ago. No training camp with this specific roster. No extended practice time to build chemistry. She showed up in Puerto Rico and immediately became the best player on the floor. Team USA went 5-0 in the tournament, undefeated, and the player who led them to that perfect record was the same player the coaching staff seemed determined to keep in a secondary role. Think about that dynamic. Your best performer, your statistical leader across the board, and you're still starting someone else at her natural position every single game.
Keep it real. I have not forgot about some of the stuff you did. It is what it is. But he did put out there Caitlin Clark named MVP of the FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament in San Juan, helping USA to a 5-0 record. She averaged 11.6 points, 6.4 assists per game. It was her first games in 8 months. In 8 months. You got all these people running around playing 3-3 and on Rival, all of this stuff. Caitlin Clark is
the resistance to Caitlin Clark's greatness has been one of the strangest storylines in women's basketball. We've watched coaches, media members, former players, and league executives bend over backwards to avoid giving her the credit she's earned. They'll point to anyone else, they'll create alternative narratives. They'll emphasize team success over individual brilliance when it's her, then flip the script and celebrate individual stats when it's their preferred players. But you can't coach around greatness forever. You can start the wrong players. You can design rotations that don't maximize her strengths. You can limit her minutes, and she'll still end up as tournament MVP because talent this exceptional finds a way to shine through regardless of the obstacles.
Me in a game, pardon the language, they might have started me in a game before Caitlin Clark, okay? This was absolute insanity, but this is a beautiful sight to see, okay? Caitlin Clark got her feet wet. She got a taste of it again, okay? She got her legs under her. She got that confidence. Y'all see that long three? Falling, hitting nothing but nylon. Listen, Caitlin Clark is about to do it to him this year. She about to do it to him this year.
Here's the part that should terrify the rest of the WNBA. This was Caitlin Clark getting her feet wet again, shaking off 8 months of rust, playing in a system she'd barely practiced, working with teammates she'd spent minimal time alongside, and she still dominated to the point where tournament officials had no choice but to name her MVP. Now she's heading into the 2025 WNBA season with Stephanie White as head coach. White's job is simple. Stay out of the way. Don't overthink it. Don't try to reinvent her game. Don't experiment with positions or rotations or any of the nonsense we saw from Christy Sides last year. Just give Caitlin Clark the ball, give her the green light, and let her do what she does best. The Indiana Fever were already a playoff team last season despite questionable coaching decisions, with an actual system that maximizes Caitlin's abilities, with a full offseason to build chemistry. With the confidence that comes from winning international MVP, this team is going to be dangerous.
Man, listen. I don't even want to take a look at nothing else. Sign the CBA. Caitlin Clark is the MVP, okay? They tried to hold her back. They tried to hold her down. You can't stop God's work. It was written. She's the chosen one, okay? And that's just what it is, man. Caitlin Clark in her senior debut winning the MVP. How about it? Get down in the comments and let me know what you think.
The CBA negotiations are happening right now. Hour 100 of marathon talks between the Players Union and league officials. Both sides meeting for the 8th consecutive evening, trying to hammer out a new collective bargaining agreement. And the timing couldn't be more critical, because the momentum Caitlin Clark has built, the attention she's brought to women's basketball, that's leverage the players need to capitalize on immediately. The WNBA is positioned for massive growth. Viewership records shattered last season, attendance up across the board, merchandise sales through the roof, corporate sponsors finally paying attention, and a huge part of that surge came from one player's impact on the cultural conversation. The league needs to lock in a CBA that reflects this new reality before the 2025 season tips off.
The real MVP. That's the real MVP, y'all. Come on now. Come on.
You see here standing in front of us and
Pardon.
The TISO MVP of the tournament is none other than...
So let's talk about what this MVP award actually means beyond the hardware itself. Because this isn't just about Caitlin Clark adding another trophy to her collection. This was her statement game on the international stage, her introduction to FIBA competition at the senior level. And she didn't ease into it. She didn't have a learning curve. She showed up and immediately established herself as the best player in the tournament against professional competition from multiple countries. The narrative that she only succeeded in college because of the system Iowa ran, that's dead now. The argument that she can't perform without the ball in her hands constantly, that's gone. The suggestion that she's not athletic enough for the highest levels of basketball, completely dismantled. She just proved she can dominate in any system, with any teammates, under any coaching staff, even one that seems actively resistant to featuring her as the primary option. Think about the pressure she was under coming into this tournament. 8 months since her last competitive game. The WNBA season ended with Indiana losing in the first round of the playoffs. All summer and fall, The discourse around her was about what she couldn't do, can't defend at an elite level, can't succeed without the offense running entirely through her, can't handle physical play from stronger, more experienced professionals. Then she gets to Puerto Rico, and none of that matters. She's hitting deep threes off the catch. She's running pick and roll with players she barely knows. She's playing team defense in rotations she's never practiced. She's making the right pass, taking the right shot, being in the right position possession after possession. And the result is a statistical profile that leads the entire tournament. The true shooting percentage is particularly telling. That's not just volume scoring, that's efficiency, that's shot selection, that's understanding when to be aggressive and when to facilitate. First in the tournament in true shooting means she was getting high-quality looks and converting them at an elite rate, while also creating those same quality opportunities for teammates. The plus-minus tells you everything about her impact beyond the box score. When Caitlin Clark was on the floor, Team USA outscored opponents by a wider margin than when anyone else was playing. That's not about individual stats. That's about winning basketball. The team performed better with her in the game than without her, which is literally the definition of most valuable, and she did this while playing out of position. Carol Lawson had her listed at small forward in multiple rotations. Small forward, for a player who spent her entire basketball life as a point guard or shooting guard. They put her in lineups where she was defending bigger, stronger forwards, where she wasn't the primary ball handler, where her natural instincts and skills were being used in ways that didn't maximize their impact. She still won MVP. That's the part that should scare everyone. Imagine what happens when she's actually playing her natural position with a coach who designs an offense around her strengths. Imagine what happens when she's got a full training camp with her teammates instead of showing up to a tournament with minimal preparation. Imagine what happens when she's not shaking off 8 months of rust. The 2025 WNBA season is going to be fascinating because Caitlin Clark just proved something crucial. She proved that all the obstacles, all the resistance, all the attempts to diminish her impact, none of it matters when you're this talented. You can bench her, you can play her out of position, you can start inferior players ahead of her, and she'll still end up with the MVP trophy because greatness cannot be coached around. Stephanie White's job is remarkably simple. Build an offense that puts Caitlin in positions to succeed. Surround her with shooters who can capitalize when defenses collapse on her. Give her the freedom to make plays. Trust her decision-making, and stay out of the way when she's in rhythm. The Fever were already competitive last season with questionable coaching, with competent leadership, with a system that actually makes sense. With the confidence Caitlin's carrying from this FIBA performance, Indiana is going to be a problem. Not just a playoff team, a legitimate contender. So here's the question that's going to define the next few months. Was this FIBA tournament the beginning of Caitlin Clark's dominance at the professional level? Or was it just another chapter in a story we've been watching since her Iowa days? Because if this is who she is now, if this is the player showing up in May when the WNBA season starts, the league better be ready. The MVP award from Puerto Rico isn't the ceiling, it's the floor. It's the baseline of what she's capable of when she's not at her absolute best. And that should terrify everyone who's been doubting her. Because Caitlin Clark just proved that even when everything's working against her, even when she's rusty and out of position and playing for a coach who won't feature her properly, she's still the most valuable player on the floor. Let me know in the comments, is Caitlin Clark winning WNBA MVP in 2025? Or is the league going to find another way to give it to someone else despite the numbers? Because based on what we just saw in Puerto Rico, she's going to make it really hard to justify any other choice. Hit that subscribe button if you want to follow this story all season long, and I'll see you in the next one.